Hey everybody, rocking with the Rock Dog. Hey, mushroom season's over in Missouri where I live, so it's time to get back out and start looking for some artifacts on the creeks. We've had 6 or 8 rains probably since I've been up in these places, so there's going to be a lot of cool stuff laying on the ground because I just walked up this little gravel bar right here. I see 4 or 5 things laying out on it right now. We'll go pick them up, but I'll tell you a little bit about the place where I'm at. This is a super paleo spot. That's a Paleo campground right up there on that secondary spot off of that hill right there. This creek and the spot where I'm at was actually their camp spot, but all the dirt's been washed off of it as the creek goes back and forth across this spot here. And we find a lot of really nice cool things laying right on top because they was in the dirt, say 3 foot down like over there, because everything paleo is about 3 or 4 foot in the ground just in a normal circumstance. So once this dirt washes off of this spot where I'm at right here, all this stuff just falls flat on top of these places like this and then just lays right on a spot like this for you to pick up and find. But there's a lot of pretty cool stuff in a place like this usually. This isn't anything, it's just a piece of granite, so you can, it's probably got scratched by the glacier right there, see them scratch marks on it. But right up in a place like that, there's going to be all kinds of stuff buried. As soon as the creek works its way back over that way, it's going to be laying right on top of the ground just like this right here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. We went mushroom hunting for about a month straight, so we haven't looked for any rocks whatsoever, so they've had time to pile up out of the last 3 or 4 rains in spots like this. And one of the first things I've seen was right over here somewhere. Right there. This is a little finger bowl of some type. Rocks will naturally chip out like that, but what gives this away is it's got the 3 finger holds on this side and the finger hold on there. So your 3 fingers would go on that just like this. And then your other one would hold it there, and then see you'd be able to hold that and dab paint with it or grind some little thing up for a seasoning or something like that. They would heat rocks like this up and then put fat in them, and then maybe like elderberries or mulberries or something like that, and smash that into it. Then you would have like a really good dye like to paint yourself with, or something that you was trying to make look a little bit better that you had made for yourself. So we're going to keep that one because that one's pretty cool. And then as I was wandering around out in this riffle right here, I was looking for a couple crawdads so I could go fishing after a while. And you kick these big rocks around and you'll see a big crawdad come out there. If you're fast enough, you can catch him. But right over there, do you see that right there? That's pink. You don't see much pink in a creek. If you see something pink, you better go pick it up. So look right there. That's a real nice broken end of something that was gigantic. Looks like it was fairly sharp right there. More than likely just a tool. Digging ginseng and things like that out of these places. These places have always kind of looked like this. So there's a lot of ginseng on these hillsides. That's a north-facing hillside. That's where all the ginseng and golden seal and stuff like that would grow. So they can use a big hand tool like that to dig it out. And maybe if we get lucky, we'll find the other half. That looks kind of hatchety, but not. No mushrooms in this spot this year. See how perfect that looks over there for mushrooms? I shot a couple of my videos down in this spot to tell you what to look for hunting mushrooms, because that's what we do for about a month straight here, and there was none here. It was a tough year. Got some old tree logs buried in the creek right here, probably from 50 years ago. If you could yank that out of the ground, no telling what would come up from what it's caught right there over the years. Big old tree. Had a big floater right there. That big floater stopped something really cool from floating down the creek. I guess because it was just jammed like that. You won't believe this one when you see it. This one belongs in a museum. See, that's been worked on that edge right there. This is where they used to kill buffalo, mammoths, ground sloths, everything in this spot. And what I'm going to show you will kind of help you believe that a little bit more. But look at the size of that tool. That's for holding in your hand right there. See your hand spots? That's for scraping a big giant bunch of fat off a hide. There's another rock that's broken in half. I kind of like that. That's really big though. See how that edge is right there? And like I said, this goes to show you what I'll show you here in a minute. In fact, there's another big giant scraper right here. See, they've always got this little tang on them. Always look for this little tang on a big scraper. A lot of times that's the face of an animal too. Not so much on here, but on the next thing I'll show you, you can really see it. But see that goes in your hand like that. That's feldspar. You get that sharp, you can really pull some hide off of something with something like that. So you got your two big scrapers. You got your other big pink thing that I found, which could have been a weaponized tool of some kind, I don't know, but it just looks a little bit big and clunky to me to be tied on a stick for mammoths and stuff. Because remember, you couldn't really poke something big through 4 inches of a mammoth and get to his guts. That was more of a fire sharpened stick weapon for a mammoth, because all you had to do was poke him in the guts a few times, let him run off and die peacefully, because you didn't want to be messing with no wounded mammoth. You'd want him to get away, then you could find him in a day or two when he stiffened up. Okay, so I'm walking around right in here, and remember, this is the Paleo Campground. This is tons of stuff just right on top here. Not many points, because the points aren't here. The points are where they threw them at and where they got broke at laying on the ground. That's why they're so scattered, and there's not many piles or catches of Clovis points. But their tools were so big, they didn't pack them around. Okay, so I'm walking right over here. Because this tree, you can see a little line where it's just built this up. This tree was laying this way for a while, but it got moved by the guys that ride UTVs so they could ride up the creek. Well, that forms a little barrier there, and it spits up this rock. See, it twirls it out of the ground. That rock there has been buried there for years and years. So you got to stop in a spot and look like this, because this is where stuff is at. And you want to move these big things off the top of the ground too. Because I have found 2 broken Clovises in the creek lately, a gray one and a pink one. I haven't showed you those videos yet, but I will. It's just not much of a find to find something that's really broke. But so I'm out here digging around a few of these rocks, and I look right over there. Can you see that? Do you know what that is? That is a woolly mammoth carving right there. Look at that. That might be the greatest thing ever. I mean, you stand up, you can tell exactly what that is. If that would have been flipped over and I hadn't dug there, I wouldn't have seen it. But let me pick this thing up. Look at that. Let me get my zoom off a little bit so I had zoomed in too much. There we are at 1 power. Is that insane? It's even got the hole for the trunk. Now that's natural, because they didn't do that on purpose. Maybe if it went down farther. But look at that, people. A woolly mammoth. That's natural, that's not anything, but they chipped on this just a tiny bit. They break these off, like I'm sure they made that break there and thought, man, if they could just get one more break. Because see, they only had to break a rock like this 2 or 3 times to get that to look like that. Hey, how about that? A woolly mammoth carving. This is only the second frontal view, or maybe a charging one or whatever, because remember, these were teaching aids for children. They would get these lined up. They had rudimentary language. They could put these out on something like this. They could teach children hunting scenarios with these things. If it was a really, really fancy one, it may be something for a ritual or ceremonial. But these rough things, because I have lots of coyote or wolves, eagles, bears, ground sloths. I have a couple of ground sloths I'll show you. But they would get these lined up, and then they could teach the kids the safest way to approach these things. So these things are crazy dangerous. You know, we had 14-foot tall bears around here that ate these 20-foot tall ground sloths by standing up on their hind legs and crushing their shoulders. That's how they fought them. But this creek right here has yielded quite a few mammoth teeth and even a couple of mammoth bones. So we're looking for a tusk as hard as we can, you know, but we haven't found one. I've got to take one more look at that. That's crazy. So anyway, they're teaching scenarios for children to dangerous situations. Plus at the campfire at night, they could line all these up and probably had some kind of little game they played to work out their strategies and stuff like that. Because, you know, you got hurt back then, that was it for you. You was dead in 3 days, or they packed you around and you wasn't doing very good. So we keep looking for these things because we know they're here. Look, even the side view's not too bad. It's got the cutout just for the slit of the eye there. That's pretty cool. I like how this side drops down a little bit farther. It's got the shoulder up. Top of the head, not that great, but yeah, you could just see that thing just running at you like that. See, and they could teach little kids. Then you'd run around the side, poke him in the guts with your sharp stick, and run away as fast as you could. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here when I found this. I really appreciate it. Rock Dog out.